Alright, so today I'm going to replace the brakes on my RX8. My last track day left my brakes with some reduced performance and a little bit of squeak. This is the rotor from the track day. It's what came with the car when I bought it. I figured I'd give it a few runs at some autocross events and a track day. Well, I found out that it's done now. Brake pads, here we go. Nice, slim fit, weight reduction. As you can see, it nestles right in nicely with this rotor. Extra surface area for better braking, gives you a little bit of that squeak, that race car squeak when you hit the brakes at a stop sign. Yeah, they're done. So, what's next? StopTech is next. I want to be tracking this, I want to be a little more aggressive. Figured I had to do a brake job anyways, so I got a pretty good deal on this full kit. And so I figured I'd go this route, see how it does. So the kit comes with pretty much everything you need to install. It has a two-piece rotor. So on this rotor, it's a 13-inch rotor. There's a disc, which is the replaceable consumable part, and there's the aluminum hat, which is pinned on. When you replace the disc, you just replace this disc, you leave the aluminum hat. This weighs about the same as a steel rotor with about 1 inch smaller diameter. It's quite light. Overall, the system should save about 5 pounds per corner. This is a 4-piston, 2-piece caliper. The bridge pops out for an easy pad change, so for those track days when you want to switch from street pads to race pads, it's actually pretty easy. Very light as well, and looks good, high quality. These are just sport pads from StopTech, came with the kit. We'll see how good they are. They might end up just being relegated to street pads, and I'll probably get race pads specific for the track. Swap them out like I just said. Caliper adapter bracket came with it, that's nice. And some stainless steel brake plans. Alright, now it's time to install those StopTech 4-piston calipers and the aero rotors, 2-piece aero rotors. So, because they're a kit designed for the RX8, they came with the caliper bracket. I kind of got ahead of myself, I already installed it. It's right here. Basically, it uses the same bolts that the regular caliper bracket on, except you're mounting this aluminum one. These are radial mount calipers. As you can see, these threads come out radially as opposed to most standard rotors, or sorry, calipers that end up mounting perpendicular. So, I've got that on. The next step, because I'm running wheel spacers in order to clear the wheels, I need to trim these studs. The spacers I have are the spacers that require these studs to sit flush in the spacer because the spacer has their own set of studs in them. I'll show you that in a second. You cannot have these studs protruding through the rotor and the spacer, and then it'll hit the wheel. So we got to cut those using the grinder. And from there, we will throw the rotor on and go from there. I'm going to install the rotor first actually, and then put the spacer on and trim the studs. So before I do that, I'm going to give this face here a light coat, a very light coat of anti-seize. The hub on the car is made of steel, and the hub on the rotor is made of aluminum. That can cause some galvanic corrosion, and it will make it very difficult to remove in the future, so I'm going to do myself a favor and get that loaded up with anti-seize. There we go. So, here's the rotor I showed you before. It's indicated as left. The important thing to check is not necessarily the slotting. The big thing is the venting needs to be coming out towards the back of the car. So the venting is going to be in a radial pattern clockwise in this instance. But if not, there's usually a sticker. There's a left there. So we'll put the left rotor on the left side of the car. It's on nicely. There's 2 screw jack holes. I should say screw retainer holes. So don't worry if you've lost them. I know a lot of people that haven't run them. It's really just helps in the stall, keeps the rotor from flopping around. I have one left, so I'll put that on. When I put the wheel spacer on, and we'll take that side up anyways. Alright, let me put that screw that I have in here. As you can see, it just kind of holds that rotor in place. I have a scrap spacer that I use to trim down the studs on this car. I'm going to use it for here as well. This is the kind of spacer that I am using though. As you can see, it's got its own set of studs in it. I like this design better because it reduces the loading on each individual set of studs. It does mean double the sets, but you don't end up with one long stud that has a great load being put on it as the wheel is either accelerating or under hard braking, which obviously is the intention of upgrading the brake system. So, downside, let the studs protrude. So, it's time to get the grinder in. Safety first, with a glass shield, grind those studs down. When I trim the studs, obviously the top of the bolts are top of the studs are going to be hard to rethread. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all these nuts on so I can trim it in place. Then when I run the nuts off, it'll keep the thread relatively clean. The other thing I'm going to do is before I run the nuts off is I'm going to give all of these a comb. It provides a lead in and removes any sharp edges that you can cut your finger on. So first step here is to put these nuts on. As you can see, the nuts are still protruding, or the studs are still protruding. That's what we have to trim. Otherwise, when we go to put a wheel in the pump, it'll interfere. So, let's get to grinding. I use safety glasses and a blast shield. I've seen these things explode. I forgot to mention, this obviously is free to spin, there's no brakes on it. It's actually quite free spinning. So what I've done instead is I've marked all of these with the grinder, with the spacer in place. Now I'm going to have to run the nuts off, take the spacer off, we'll finish grinding those. So, if you want to, you can obviously take the rotor off if you're worried about hitting it, as I will. It's better to be safe than sorry when you're dealing with expensive parts. And back to grinding. The studs are trimmed. Kind of give them a little bit of a rounded comb. I'm going to pull these nuts off, and I've got a die, so I'm going to run that die down there to finish cleaning up the threads. When you're doing a conical part, make sure you use a grinding disc instead of a cut-off disc. The cut-off disc is designed for cutting through metal. The grinding disc is designed for kind of shaping metal. So. If you get a hex die, you can use the T handle, but if you're just chasing threads, you can just run it down with a quick impact. Once you get it started by hand, of course. There we go. Alright, back to putting the rotor on. You're going to want to make sure you clean the rotor. The disc face on the front and back is usually shipping oil on it. If you don't have brake cleaner, you can use a little bit of soap and water. I usually wait until I'm nearly done the install. I usually end up getting a little greasy when I'm lubricating all the brake components, so I'll be doing that after. Time for the fun part. Installing the new 4-piston caliper. Now if you read the manual, it'll tell you to pop open the bridge now. I like getting the caliper in place before I start taking the bridge out. So I'm going to install the caliper, pop the bridge out with the pads in. So, since I've got the caliper bracket mounted already, I'm just going to pop this on front. Just like that. Guess I'll need a couple nuts. Comes with some special nuts with washers, make sure you use them. And they have their own torque spin. The calipers are indicated as left hand, right hand. A sanity check is making sure the bleed screws are vertical. Calling for 40 pound-feet or foot-pounds. And the caliper's mounted. Piece of cake. Time to install the pads. So there's two socket head cap screws that hold the bridge in place. Now it does have its own orientation. I usually take a picture to make sure I have the orientation of this assembly right before I install it. Take that out to the side. And I've got some brake pads that came with it. These just slide right in. I'm just going to give them a light lubrication on the back with some brake compound just to see if I can reduce any squeaking. So this is not anti-seize, it's actually brake lube. Just going to put a light amount on the back backing plates of both of these brake pads. Spread it around. Don't get the grease on the face of the pad, you'll risk contamination. If you do end up with some contamination on it, I recommend hitting some brake cleaner and giving it a very, very light sanding just to try and remove that layer of contamination. So, they just kind of slide right in, pretty easy. They're kind of in place. Piece of cake. Now I'll put the bridge back on and the pads are ready. There's no specific torque recommended for these. I just recommend them to be snug. Don't use an impact on these calipers. They are aluminum. You do not want to be stripping the threads. Make sure it's snug. Like so. Next is the brake line. Alright, so I'm going to install the brake line now. I've kind of left the old caliper hanging. It's still here. I didn't want to open up the brake line until the last minute. That way I didn't have brake fluid coming all over the place, contaminating stuff, getting air in the system. So it's almost time to undo that, but first I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning. I'm going to clean off this joint here. There's a hard joint that goes into the rubber line. That's going to turn into a stainless steel line, but there's a bunch of junk here that I don't want getting into the system, so I'm going to clean off that interface. I'm also going to install the stainless steel line to the new caliper first because it's all dry in here. I'm going to basically wait till the last minute to undo the wet line, hopefully be as quick as possible to get the stainless steel line connected and reduce the loss of brake fluid. So, in order to install a stainless steel brake line, there's a banjo bolt and there's two crush washers. So, one crush washer goes on one side of this banjo and the other crush washer goes on the other side. Now this will thread into the new caliper. I'm just going to leave it snug for now. It's a crush washer. You don't want to tighten it up until you're ready because once you seal it once, you have to replace the crush washer again for it to seal properly the second time. There's a bracket here on the control arm, so I'm going to swap that out from the original to the new. Now I'm ready to work on that hard line interface. There's a little clip that is designed for a flathead screwdriver to stick in and work its way out. So I'm just going to stick a flathead in, and you're going to have to kind of rotate it a little bit depending on how rusted it is. It should come out though. You can get some pliers too. This is oriented towards the back. I'm going to orient it towards me. So I'll grab some pliers and fix that orientation. And there we go. So it's a spring-loaded clip. You're going to want to put that back in when you're done. Right now, I'm going to undo this line while this is still retained in there. Be very careful, you don't want to be reflaring, so I'm going to try and impulse that and knock that loose. Alright, I'm going to knock loose that hard line from the soft line. I'm going to use the right wrench. Unfortunately, I don't have a flare nut wrench, so if I feel it start to strip, I'm going to stop right away. You don't want to be reflaring this. A flare nut wrench is basically like a regular one, but it's got 5 or 6 points of contact. It just leaves a gap so you can put the wrench over the line. It's much less likely to strip the hard line. There goes nothing. Make sure you have some cardboard under the car. You don't want this getting on your floor and ruining it. So, you don't want brake fluid, I should say, getting on your car. Alright. Now I can remove the old caliper. There's nothing connecting it, just holding up my string. And I'm done. Now that I've gotten as messy as I will get it, I'm going to hit it with some brake cleaner, clean off front and back here. Make sure you do a thorough job. You don't want to contaminate these pads. I'll give them one more clean before I put the wheels on, but for now, they're clean enough. Thank you for watching the StopTech install. I hope it was informative. Probably wasn't very entertaining, but hey, why not?